This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. Let's talk about somebody that you do need on WrestleMania 19, although maybe we didn't. Nathan Jones gets signed to a developmental deal. He's 6'10". He's 350 pounds. He's from Australia. He's fresh off of the world's strongman competitions. And he's been training with UPW because, of course, he first appeared on the very first Pride show back in October of 97 at the Tokyo Dome in an undercard worked match. And he looks like he's going to have a huge upside, especially here in the company. It's this is an interesting story, quite the character. What can you tell us about Nathan Jones?
Well, I saw on our notes, what did the company see in Nathan? Are you shitting me? What did we see in him? We saw 6'10". We saw 350 pounds. He was jacked up. He looked phenomenal on 8x10. Nathan was not stable enough at that time in his life. I hope that is he alive?
Yes, he is.
He's a very likable guy, kind of charming at times, but he also had that aura of mystique, which you can use to your advantage if you're a wrestling booker, promoter. But Nathan had issues traveling, and I've never been 6'10". Maybe after a lot of Crown Royal Reserve, I may feel 6'10", but I've never been 6'10". So I don't know how uncomfortable it is to be flying on an airplane in a seat that's too small. You got to fly in first class because he can't sit in a coach seat. And then that pissed off a lot of the guys that were at tenure who were smaller in size, and they were sitting in coach and he was sitting in first class. So, but we saw size, we saw a dynamic look, and was hoping that if we could develop his skills, that we would have something. A monster heel.
Of course.
In every sense of the word.
Let me ask, given his background, and I guess I should mention, because a lot of people listening to this may not know, before he becomes a wrestler, in 1987, he was sentenced to 16 years in prison because he did 8 armed robberies between 85 and 87. And he winds up becoming one of Australia's most wanted folks, winds up actually serving 7 of those years in a maximum security prison, and then gets a work release program. And while he's in prison, he didn't have anything else to do. So he started powerlifting, and we're off to the races. But when you got a guy who's out here, doing 7 years in the joint for 8 armed robberies, yeah. Are you concerned that this may be a bad character fit for you? You're going to give him a bunch of money and cut him loose worldwide?
Of course. It was a risk. It was a gamble. But his size, his look, and the fact that he had great success in powerlifting globally. He's one of the strongest men in the world. Legit. Not wrestling hype, but legit. If we could get him over the hump, keep him sane, you're locked up. My sense of it was, I want to believe that Nathan was perceived very dangerous in prison. I think he was, I don't want to say solitary, but I don't think he had any bunk mates. Somebody said, how many girlfriends do you think Nathan had in prison? I said, as many as he wanted. So I think they kept Nathan to himself. But yeah, it was a risk, Conrad. It was iffy. But Vince likes the calculated risk. That's what he looked at. That's what he called it. Signing Nathan Jones, JR, is a calculated risk. So we didn't go into it blindly or not. It was great not being overly naive. We knew it was a risk. It was chancy. But if by some chance we got lucky and clicked, look what we would have had. It just didn't work out that way.
Do you remember Slick Robbie D? There's another developmental wrestler. Robbie Dix is his name here. I believe he had a cameo in Wrestling with Shadows. Stu Hart was stretching him.
He was stretching Carl.
LeDuc. Yeah.
LeDuc. Yeah. And this kid was a witness to the torture.
But either way, he finds himself down in OVW in developmental with you guys, but he gets arrested, Thanksgiving weekend in Calgary. And, eventually he's going to be, detained and then, allowed to come back to the United States. Whatever happened to Slick Robbie D? Do you remember this character?
I have no clue. I have no clue. I know that in Vince's book of rules and mine, abusing your significant other is not accepted. Well, we had a bad night. We were both drinking. I don't give a shit. That's your problem. You know, what do you want? We give too many people the pass because of the creative excuses that they're able to use nowadays. Oh, I was COVID. I'm so depressed. I don't know this. And so that you can, now people do screw up. They use the COVID excuse. You know, I got the same shit on my goddamn couch in there. You know, oh, well, COVID should slow things down. I said, I figured you were going to say COVID. But that's the situation. You know, guys use excuses for issues instead of identifying and accepting their problem, recognizing and being and being upfront about it, so they can fix their problem, as opposed to just deny. Now, I'm not saying that was the case with Robbie, because I remember the name, and people would say, "Well, goddamn, JR slipping." Look, we hired a lot of talent. This is a long time ago. And he was a guy that we must have liked him enough to send him to OVW. Of course, that was the next step up. We had good results with our guys that we sent to OVW. But I don't remember the specifics about that situation, other than an issue with a female that involved aggression and all that stuff. Can't be tolerated. You have no defense for it from the media. Let's say the guy becomes a star. We know what the media's going to do. They're going to vilify WWE for hiring a wife beater or girlfriend beater or spousal abuse. So we must condone that, right? Oh, yeah, we condone it. We want our guys to beat the holy shit out of every woman they see. Come on. So I don't remember his exact story, Conrad, but he was skilled enough he came from Calgary. We got him to Louisville. So he must have been skilled enough to earn that particular opportunity. But the specifics of his deal, other than the general sense of his aggression with a female, is about all I remember.
He worked a lot of big names in OVW: Randy Orton, Nick Dinsmore, Mark Henry, Big Boss Man, Bull Buchanan, Rico. Names we're familiar with, but he did pass away February of 2002. So another tragedy in wrestling, I suppose. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.